So great. I think we are going live on YouTube as well. हम लोग live चले गए हैं YouTube पे भी, and we are live on Zoom as well. So just wanted to have a small check. Is my audio video clear? Is my audio video clear? If it is clear, just write clear in a chat box. Is my audio video clear? फटाफट give me an external confirmation SA505. Right? फटाफट बता दीजिए. Is my audio video clear? So great. I think we are going live. यस 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 यूट्यूब पे जो कनेक्टेड है आपके कंफर्मेशन के लिए मैं वेट कर रहा हूं, और जो जूम पे कनेक्टेड है आप फटाफट बता दीजिए कि इज माय ऑडियो वीडियो क्लियर, इज माय ऑडियो वीडियो क्लियर. आई थिंक लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स आर वेरी एक्साइटेड फॉर दिस सेशन बिकॉज वन ऑफ द सेशन व्हिच वाज देयर वेयर लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स वर वेटिंग फॉर, एंड काफी सारे स्टूडेंट्स हैव अ डाउट, सर बैंकिंग कंपनी में जाऊं नहीं जाऊं, पैसा कितना मिलेगा, what is the growth trajectory, what are the roles offered, every damn thing we are going to be covering in this session, right? But just waiting for a confirmation for the people from YouTube. YouTube वाली जनता confirmation दीजिए फटाक से. Great. YouTube पे मैं वेट कर रहा हूँ, कोई confirmation दे दे तो हम स्टार्ट करें. Zoom वाले एक बार जाके बता दो. अदिति ने बता दिया. Thanks अदिति, बहुत बढ़िया. Thank you अदिति for telling us कि audio video is clear. Great. Now today's mentor is very special to me, right? जितना मेरा एज है उतना उनका तजुर्बा है, राइट? जितना मेरा एज है उतना उनका तजुर्बा है, राइट? दैट यू कैन सी इन दिस सेशन, इन फैक्ट, फ्रॉम द learning, the experience which he is bringing in front of a table for every one of us, right? He has worked with a lot of banking companies, right? He has a huge exposure into the banking domain, right? He has worked with Deutsche Bank, ICICI Bank, Yes Bank, right? He has headed a lot of departments in companies, right? I think the words will fall short if I mention the list of companies and the banks and the year of experience he had, right? But I'll request all of you, those who have connected in a Zoom, right, to please turn on your videos on karke. It's time to welcome the mentor out. It's time to welcome the mentor out, right? I'll request all of you, इतना तो कर सकते हो, right? इतना कर सकते हो कि आप mentors के लिए वीडियो ऑन करके पहले वीडियो ऑन करें सब फटाफट जो जूम पे कनेक्टेड है, वीडियो ऑन कीजिए, राइट? वीडियो ऑन करके आई विल आस्क एवरीवन ऑफ यू टू प्लीज अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ एंड गिव अ राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज फॉर मेंटर्स जॉइनिंग इन. जोरदार तालियों से स्वागत करेंगे. यस, no problem. Great. Really happy to have you, sir, for this session out. I was waiting for a very long time. I asked my team कि यार what we can do, sir का session जल्दी बुलाओ. I am in fact very much excited and waiting. And a lot of students have started troubling me out saying that sir banking का कुछ session कब हो रहा है? I said don't worry. We have one of our mentor joining in, Rajnish sir, who is going to be guiding this for the session out. So really happy to have you, sir, for this session.
Thank you so much, Shivam. Even I am excited. Pretty excited. I think this is the second session we are doing. I hope it will be useful for all the mentees actually.
Yes, sir. So in fact, the first session which we did, right, I think it reached approximately 8,000 views, and a lot of students are still referring those sessions out for preparation of banking and other domains out. So sir, just wanted to know your journey out from you. How was your journey been into the banking domain? Or sir, if you don't mind, we can keep it more on a podcast mode as well, so that I'll be asking a lot of questions which are there, and definitely parallelly you can add on the other questions which you feel are important. And students, those who are connected on YouTube live, especially, I'm going to be monitoring those questions out because that is easier to monitor. And at the end, we'll open the forum for Zoom chat as well, so that if any of the questions which are unanswered, we'll cover the same. Right. So sir, just wanted your know your journey, right? Since you started your career in banking, you've spent a lot of years into banking. Right. So how was this journey all about, sir?
Okay, so thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining in. So I have worked totally for 21 years. So this is my 21st year that I am currently in this space. Predominantly, I did not start my career in banking, or I did not plan to start my career in banking. It's just that it so happened. I started my career with a firm called A. Ferguson. It's no longer there. Ferguson, that time back in 2002, 2003, it used to be one of the biggest, one of the bigger firms, had good amount of client. But everybody told that there are quite a few banks which are hiring So why don't you try your luck? And I went and I tried my luck and it worked out. So my first bank that I joined was ICICI Bank, where I started my career from. And eventually uh, it clicked actually, and I started working there, and it went on in the banking. So what happens is when you start with one particular industry, you automatically keep working in that industry itself because you become expert in that field, or so you feel that you become an expert in that field. But banking is a phenomenal area to work. So I worked with ICICI, then I worked with Deutsche Bank. These were more into the branch banking side. So I became a branch manager. Thereafter, I worked with Yes Bank. That is the time I moved into internal audit, worked there for a substantial period of time. And thereafter, I worked with various non-banking finance companies. So predominantly, 80% of my experience has been in the banking and 90% of my experience has been in the banking and financial services. I worked in banking, I've worked in NBFC, I've worked in insurance. So journey has been quite exciting, being in the business side, then moving into audit, looking at compliance, interacting with the regulator. So it has been a phenomenal journey.
Great, sir. And really happy to hear this out. So just wanted to know, since a lot of chartered accountants have joined here, a lot of CAs are watching this, right? So students generally ask me this question, sir, what are the major roles are going to be offered to chartered accountants into the banking domain?
Okay, so as a chartered accountant, see, I strongly believe that banking is an absolutely it's a niche domain, right? And it's a kind of domain where you have to build up a lot of experience. It doesn't only come with qualification. You have to develop a lot of experience, and experience only comes with the more and more you work. What I have seen, I have seen chartered accountants have working in all departments possible in banks, be it branch banking, be it on the credit side, be it on the sales side, be it in compliance, risk management, internal audit, investment banking. You can make as a chartered accountant, you can make your career in any department that you want. There is no hindrance at all, because as a chartered accountant, you bring in a certain set of qualifications, certain set of experience. But banking is a very specialized domain. So you have to build up your experience as you move forward. So if you think that you have the interest of banking and you really want to work in a very regulated space, this is probably one of the best industries to work for. At least I feel, because there is a lot of things happening in the banking, especially now, because a lot of things are happening on the digital bank space, on the neo banking space and everything. So for a chartered accountant, I think it's an absolutely green field. You can work anywhere you want.
Got it. So, sir, so a lot of students also ask me that, sir, if I join a banking, मतलब, who should join it? मतलब, किसको join करना चाहिए? Those who love numbers, or those who wanted to become a branch manager, or मतलब, what is one thing which I should tell to the students, or what is one thing which you see that if you have this quality, you should join in, or this is something which is going to be exciting you if you join the banking domain?
So I would answer that question predominantly mentioning that it depends on your interest, actually. Okay. There are a lot of people who wants to work in the compliance domain, right? Compliance means I'm talking about hardcore regulatory compliance, right? So because banking is it's a regulated industry, it is regulated by the Reserve Bank of India and one of the most respected regulators of the world. There is a lot of focus on AML, anti-money laundering, and terrorist financing. If somebody feels that no, I don't want to work in compliance, then you can. And I'm good in numbers, and I'm a good analytics person. Then probably credit is an area, or what by credit risk management or the credit assessment part is an area where I want to work. You can work in the credit. There are a lot of CAs who are building up their career in the credit side. There are people who work in hardcore accounting side as well, accounting, fund management, because in banks, there's a lot of work that happens on the asset liability management. So how much you will borrow, at what cost you will borrow, and what is so predominantly on that space. You can work on the core accounting space. You can work, if you think, no, these are all the things that I really don't want to do. I want to work in sales. You can work in sales. You can really do customer interaction in working in the frontline sales. If you want, you can work in branch banking. Even I have seen chartered accountants work in the tech space also, in the technology space also. There are a lot of chartered accountants who work, not so in the core technology, as in not with the engineers, but more on there's something called as a business solutions group, or what we call it as the BSG group, where you provide the requirements to the technology people for them to build up, because you understand the numbers, you understand how the overall mechanics of a banking work. It becomes easier for us to explain to a tech guy what needs to be developed. So that is also a space that a lot of chartered accountants are working. But as I said, it's a free domain. It depends on your interest. But there's one very important thing that because this session is being attended predominantly by fresh chartered accountants or fresh CAs or youngsters, all these domain might not be available at the very first instance. That we need to very clearly understand. So if you, at this point, maybe many of you are just have qualified your CA in the last term. So all these domains might not be available for you at the very first instance. So when you join the department or the area where you may want to explore might not be available. But I would still say you should actually explore, because once you spend 3-4 years in the bank, you will automatically can decide your career, because a lot of banks give a lot of opportunities. Because India is a growing economy, right? And there are a lot of opportunities which keeps coming because the banks are growing. So if after 3-4 years of working, you think that, no, I really don't want to work in sales, I want to move into compliance, I want to move into something technology or something else, these opportunities keeps going on. But at the initial stage, branch banking is one area where people would typically get an opportunity. Branch banking or a relationship role is another role where people get an opportunity as chartered accountants, I'm saying. Or the credit side, or the credit risk is the side where typically young CAs get an opportunity. But that should not be a roadblock, and you should not have any mental blockage around it, because it's not that there's a high possibility you might fall in love with that particular job, right? Whatever you get. So suppose you get a chance in credit and you fall in love with that and you want to spend your entire career in credit, you can do that. But there are many people who keep changing the department, also keep moving, and it's quite immense opportunities which are there. But again, I'm saying just a caveat, from the very first year, when you're applying, when you're going for your interviews, all these opportunities might not be visible to you because you are not a part of the bank. But once you are in the bank, you get to see all these opportunities, and then you can probably decide your career. By that time, you will have a fair bit of idea, maybe 1-2% idea that how a bank works and what they work into. So opportunities are across, and you can build your career anywhere.
Got it, sir. Sir, majorly two types of hirings are going to be seen in the banking domain for a freshers, which I generally see. Of course, other hirings are also there. A lot of students ask me, can you please give me a brief about what is credit manager role, right? And what is relationship manager? So first we'll cover relationship manager. What is relationship manager? What are the roles? What are the growth trajectories? And what are the interview questions?
Okay, so the relationship management role is primarily the sales role that I'm talking about. So if you see the word relationship, it is basically the role of the role of this particular position is to manage the relationship of the customer. So majorly this would primarily hover around selling products to customers, building up relationship with the customers, deepening the relationship with the customers. So suppose the customer is probably having, let's say, a SME customer, he's only having a, let's say, current account, right? And you are a relationship manager of a, let's say a SME or a maybe a mid-corporate customer. So your responsibility as a relationship manager would be to kind of cross-sell products, maybe sell products, and to deepen and to nurture the relationship. That is a predominant role of a relationship manager. As a relationship manager, you should have good communication skill. So some of the parameters that are going to be tested during the interview, it's not that in the credit side it would not be, but probably a weightage would be much less on the credit side. But as a relationship manager, you need to be smart. You need to be a seller. As in, you need to talk well. You need to communicate well. You need to understand numbers well. So by understanding numbers, what I mean is, if you go through a customer's balance sheet, you should be able to gauge that, okay, there is a working capital gap, and probably I can sell him a working capital demand loan kind of a product, or a term loan kind of a product, or maybe he might have some other requirement. Maybe he can require maybe the nature of his business, he's more a techie, so probably he can be sold a tech product, a POS machine or something. So all these need requirements you need to analyze, you need to understand, and you probably then the relationship manager will be a perfect fit. I have generally seen that people, especially chartered accountants, have a lot of reservations around that role. That how can I, as a chartered accountant, how can I become a relationship manager? I don't see anything wrong in that. Relationship managers are not a kind of role which needs to be looked down upon. It's one of the good roles. It's one of the better roles. It's one of the fast growing roles. If you really want to grow fast in your career as a national head sales, or probably at a regional sales head, maybe a zonal sales or a regional sales head, even a national sales head, after a certain point of time, relationship is where everybody starts their career from. If you don't work as a relationship manager, or if you don't work as a branch manager or a branch operations manager, you will not understand the customer's requirement. You will always work at the back end, because at the end of the day, customer is what is of the paramount importance. They are the first pillar, right? Whatever said and done, if a bank doesn't have a customer, that bank will not be in existence. That much importance that is there in that role. It is always fast growing. It is always rewarding. You will always be paid, obviously, if you perform. Definitely, it's not that if you don't perform, you will earn handsome salaries or anything, or bonuses. But if you perform, if you really work well, I have generally seen the relationship managers grows very, very fast.
Got it, sir. Got it. Sir, in terms of exit opportunities, also we can cover for relationship managers parallelly.
Exit opportunities means, obviously, if you worked in the frontline sales, and you really. So I worked as a branch in the branch. I started my career from branch banking. That is again frontline sales, right? That is basically frontline sales and operations. When we go into a branch, we don't understand the complications that are there. While you're handling the customers also, those are the external customers who are coming and selling you stuff, whom you are required to sell stuff. You have to convince your internal customers also, because customers will come with various requirements. So for instance, I'm saying that I want to send money to my daughter in, let's say in US. Okay. And there are a lot of KYC requirements and all those things that you need to satisfy your internal customers. As in, what I mean to say is, you need to satisfy your compliance department. So you have to handle both. So as a relationship manager, while you will be satisfying the requirements of the customer, but you will also be aware about the compliance requirements, the regulatory requirements, what are the bank's internal policies and procedures. So it will give you an all-round experience around your role. You will understand predominantly in your segment what needs to be done. If you want to move away from the relationship role, you get multiple opportunities. You get a role in, you can move into compliance, you can move within sales also, you can move within segments. Suppose you are into the retail side, you are a retail relationship manager. Within retail also, there are various stages. One is the absolute, without demeaning anyone, is basically the ground level relationship managers who are basically taking normal banking products, not an NRI, not an HNI category. So that is one category of people who manages those relationships, are also relationship manager. If you do well, you can always promote yourself to a HNI relationship manager, where you will be handling high net worth individuals. And you never know, you can handle celebrity accounts also. Maybe you might become a relationship manager of Sachin Tendulkar or maybe Amitabh Bachchan. You don't know. So those are the kind of opportunities which are there in the retail space. If you really want to grow up the ladder, you can always go into the mid segment. You can always go into the corporate segment. So corporate relationship managers are also extremely regarded role. It's a regarded profession. So corporate relationship managers, let's take an example. Let's say Tata's or the Tata Steel kind of a company. You are the relationship manager who is managing Tata relationship, right? That's a very, very important role. The entire Tata book that you're managing. So within segments, also within the role itself, there are a lot of segments available: retail, HNI, then mid or SME, mid corporate, large corporate. There are government relationship managers also, so who manages government relationships, like you're the Indian Army. So if you're a relationship manager in the government segment, and the Indian Army, and you want to open Indian Army's account, or you are working with the Indian Post, or maybe the government, the state governments. There are various departments within governments also. There are a lot of things happening where you can become a relationship manager. And if you can crack one deal, you're done. Your targets are done and you're finished. Because if you can crack one deal of Indian Army, your entire year's target is done. So within relationship also, there are a lot of opportunities which keeps coming and can grow up the segment also. And at the end of the day, if you're not interested in that role itself, then obviously you can move into branch banking. Again, branch banking becomes a core operations role with a cross-sell opportunities. You can work in the compliance side. In the audit side also you can work. I have seen a lot of people coming from branch banking and sales into audit and working within audit also, internal audit I'm talking about. So these are the various opportunities which generally you can come across. So this is a good point for me to share one thing, that a lot of banks have a concept of an internal job posting, which I had shared earlier also, that many banks gives you to nurture the internal talent so that the attrition is within control, and you get enough opportunity within the group. There are a lot of opportunities which you see on Naukri. When you log on to Naukri, you get a lot of opportunities that you can see in front of you. Or even LinkedIn jobs, if you go, you get a lot of opportunities. There are internal portals available where you go, you log in. There are certain basic eligibility criteria which are there. Minimum years of experience, your ratings for last 2 years, 3 years. And if you satisfy those requirements, you can also apply for those postings. So those are called internal job postings. It is called IJPs. But of course, you need to satisfy certain internal requirements before you can apply for that. But it's not that you join today and you want to shift within 6 months. It doesn't work that way. You have to spend a minimum, I think, 2 to 3 years. Different banks have different policies. But if you have spent 2 to 3 years within that particular role, within that particular department, and if you want to apply for an internal job posting, you're free to do. And the most important part is, and many banks follow this, I have generally seen, large banks at least, that you don't need your boss's permission to do that. You can apply, and even if your boss doesn't agree, your boss cannot stop you. That is the strength of this particular policy that many of the banks have. Because sometimes happens, bosses sometimes doesn't want to let somebody go. No, I will not let you go. Or even if you go and ask your boss, I want to apply for this position, he will of course demotivate you. But you can have a different career aspiration. No, you are free to apply. And if you're selected, suppose generally in the internal job posting also there is a selection procedure. So if the person with whom you will be working, that person will interview you. If that person also finds you suitable and you're selected, your boss will just receive an email from HR that this person needs to be released from so and so date. Finished. And he has no way to stop you. So in terms of exit opportunities, it's immense. There are a lot of exit opportunities. There are a lot of large banks to retain talent. They are doing a lot of internal job postings, which is, I would say, which is extremely good. And I have seen people applying for odd roles, as in from compliance, people have want to move to sales. All these things keeps happening. So it's only that once you enter the bank, you understand all these things. I'm just sharing my experience, whatever I have seen in past 20, 21 years, I'm sharing those experience.
Got it. So very well explained about the roles and this. It would be also great if you could also explain about the credit manager role. That is the second, and the growth trajectory and the exit options. Exit options, I think we've covered everything in detail. But yes, I think the role, what credit managers do.
So the credit manager's role again is bifurcated into the segments. In which segments credit manager you are, right? So there are a lot of credit managers who work in the retail side, mid-corporate, large corporate. So let us understand what is the role of a credit manager. The role of a credit manager is to do a credit assessment. So typically, the relationship manager will source a particular case, a particular lending opportunity with a client. Could be a home loan, it could be a personal loan, or it could be a working capital demand loan of any large corporate. Could be a small term loan of a small SME. Any kind of these loan requirement is typically sourced by the relationship manager, which we were discussing just a few minutes back. Now, once that particular file is sourced, the relationship manager does an analysis, basically whether that person is, one is of course on the KYC side, you need to understand whether they are good, bad, etc. You perform your KYC, you perform your due diligence. Then you, based on your financial numbers, you perform a credit assessment. The relationship manager does it. And once he feels fit and his boss basically recommends that case comes to the credit manager. Now, the credit manager's role is basically to act as a funnel, to stop any wrong lending that is happening at the bank. So his job will be to basically analyze that particular case threadbare. So they would do the complete financial analysis, a complete SWOT analysis. There are a lot of analysis that happens, financial analysis that happens on the credit side. So basically, their job is to protect the credit risk of the bank. So whether the money that is being lent to the customer, whether that person will be able to repay or not, and whether it will be used for a legitimate purpose or not. Or the purpose, I should not be using the word legitimate. It should be used for the purpose for which it is being taken. So these are the primary roles of a credit manager that he is required to do. So he will perform a complete financial analysis, complete due diligence. If required, he will speak to the customer as well. If he's not satisfied, of course, he will talk to the relationship manager that, hey, I don't understand these numbers. What you are saying, that how are you saying that your assumptions or your projections for last 2 years will be this much growth? I'm not understanding because I'm not seeing so much of growth happened in the past. How are you seeing this much growth will happen in the future? Because every lending happens on the projections, right? The financial projections and all that. So his job is to question those, to check whether the assumptions that has been taken for the purpose of these projections, whether they are good, they are legitimate, they are okay to be, the assumptions that has been taken, are they good? If he is not satisfied, he can go talk to the customer itself. He can ask the customer that, yeah, we have received your file, sir, but I'm not understanding this particular aspect. I'm not understanding why are you buying a machinery now, which you should have bought 2 years back? How will it help in your future growth? All these types of questions, challenge questions, is questions basically he's going to ask. If he's still not satisfied, he may want to meet the customer himself. Okay, so credit managers also goes and meet the customer primarily for a due diligence objective. His role is not to sell product. What the relationship manager has already done, his role is not that. His role is to make sure that the person who is being onboarded and the requirement for the money that is being lent is proper, and a proper due diligence has been done and the money has been lent. This is a primary role of a credit manager. In case of a credit manager, the exit opportunities, like I mentioned, again, it depends. You can really explore, but I have generally not seen people moving away from credit. Okay, it might be kind of my perception. Probably I might be incorrect, but I have generally not seen people moving away from the credit role, because credit role is a very focused role. A file will come, you will review it threadbare, and you will ask a lot of questions, and then you will put up the case to the credit committee for approval of those, or the CRO for approval. So I have generally not seen people moving away from credit risk. Typically, people would do a parallel move from one bank to other, or maybe within credit risk, credit itself within segments. So maybe a person who is doing a retail credit assessment can move to a corporate credit assessment. So I have generally seen these kind of movements within the segments. I've seen movements happening, but I have, in my experience, I have not seen a case that a credit manager moving away into a sales role or moving away into a branch banking role. That will not happen. Typically, I have not seen that happening.
Got it, sir. Got it. So also, it would be great if you could just highlight on treasury role, because I think these are the three major roles which I have seen a lot of hirings are done for fresher case. So what is treasury role for fresher chartered accountants, and what are the expectations, and again a growth trajectory?
Okay, so in the treasury role is again it's a little different role. So within treasury also there are three types of roles that are generally available. One is of course the front office, what we call it, the dealers. So basically you strike deals. Either you can be a bond trader, or you can be a equity trader, or you can be a forex dealer. So in that particular role, your job is to basically make money for the bank by doing these trades. Okay, so banks, I hope majority of you would understand how a banks work. So what is bank's primary role is to basically earn money in the spread, right? So I borrow money. Bank doesn't, of course, there is a certain equity that is there, and but there are a lot of restrictions on RBI how that money can be used. There are a lot of SLR, CRR requirements. All those requirements I'm not getting into. Those are little technical. Maybe you guys can go through RBI website and RBI circulars, which are very important for you to go through before any interview. Maybe I'll cover that a little later. So the bank makes money in spread. So I borrow money from somebody and I lend money from somebody. So if I borrow money from somebody at 8% and I lend it at 10%, I make a 2% spread. So that is what is basically the what we call it as the bank's income, primary income. Of course, there are other incomes also, processing fees and all those things. But predominantly, if I say, this is where the banks make money. Now, let us understand what a treasury does. A treasury is basically you are borrowing money. Let's say 100 rupees you have borrowed, right? And you have only been able to lend 80 rupees. So 20 rupees that are there, you will not keep it idle, right? So you have to make money on that. So either you will do some bond trading. Again, I'm giving a caveat. There are a lot of restrictions. You just can't do a trade like that because there are a lot of monitoring and a lot of restrictions by RBI. A lot of focus is that. Otherwise, the market will go haywire. If one large bank like SBI or ICICI has a float and they pump in money into the stock market, the Indian market will go crazy. So there's a lot of monitoring that happens. So you have a held to maturity, you have available for sale. There are a lot of type of securities which are there, in which you can do trades. If you're a bond trader, you basically buy those bonds, and whenever the money is required, you can sell it and make some money, 1%, 2%, 3%. In case of an equity, predominantly equity dealing doesn't happen so much because there's a lot of restrictions on RBI. But theoretically, I'm saying you it's the same thing, that where you can buy shares and make money for the bank. Okay, of course, you can do certain trades based on the various restrictions that are there. If you follow that, you can do. And lastly, it's of course the forex deal. So there are a lot of customers who require foreign exchange, right? They require dollars, they require euro, they require Japanese yen, dirhams. All these currencies are required by the customer. So the customers would typically either come and want to sell, or they would want to buy. They would want to buy dollars, or they would want to buy euro, or they would sell dollars and euro, right? But you don't have it. You are a bank. You don't have that, right? So you have to basically buy it from the market. So you make the money in that spread. So you are buying at, let's say, 80 rupees. You are selling it at 81. So the lesser at which you can buy, the more money you make. So this is the front office role. Basically, you are a trader. You will be sitting in the dealing room. Very fancy role, huh? Very, very fancy role. That is, I guess, again, I'm not trying to move away from your trajectory or vision goal, but that is probably one of the highest paying role that I have seen in the banking industry, because you make a lot of money for the bank. Obviously, if you make a lot of money for the bank, you will obviously get very handsomely paid. But it's a very high stress role. It's an extremely high stressed job, because 1% bond market or interest rate going up and down, you either make money or lose money. So you have to make those calls. You have to do those hedging instruments. You have to opt for, or you need to see the future. You think that your dollar might go down, and if you buy dollar now, you can make money. So those are the decisions that you have to take, that today I think that the dollar will go down and there might be some requirement in the future, so I will buy now. But suppose it goes the other way, dollar goes up, you're gone, you're screwed. But it's a very high stress job. You will be typically sitting in a dealing room with 3 terminals in front of you. You'll have Bloomberg, you will have all these stuff in front of you, and you will do trades. You will get calls from various departments, or from the various thing that I need. $5 million requirement is there from the customer and all that. So you have to strike a deal quickly so that you can give a best rate also to the customer, but you make money for the bank also. So treasury front office dealers make a hell a lot of money, huge money. One of the best paying roles. But as it is said, it comes with a lot of stress. Okay. A lot of frauds also happen in this particular space. Let me tell you that, because I come with a financial crime background. I have generally seen these dealers make a lot of bad deals, bad trades. So a lot of things happen. So that's a dealer role. Okay. So dealers, as a fresher, I don't think you will be able to become a dealer. But if you want to really, or you are interested in how the money market works, how the bond market works, definitely this is an area to work for. Then comes the market risk. Market risk is basically monitoring these dealers or whatever trades they are doing. So they are part of the risk department. So like you have a credit risk who are doing the credit assessment, there's a market risk department. They do a monitoring of the markets, and they do a lot of risk assessment on the markets, and a lot of risk assessment on the type of trades the dealers are doing. So they are part of the risk team. They come under the CRO. And the last one is the back office. The back office is a core operations role. So the dealer has done a deal. Suppose they are going to buy some securities from Government of India, from RBI, they are buying some securities. So the back office role is to predominantly to strike that deal. Basically, so one aspect is you're taking a decision to buy, and you get in, you do an arrangement with the agent or the dealer of the other company, maybe another bank or maybe another NBFC that you want to buy something. But doing the deal is basically the back office. Back office is a very plain and simple role. A deal happened, you have to basically settle the role. Settle the deal means either you will pay money, take the securities in your possession, or you will receive money and give the securities out of your position. So that is predominantly a role in a treasury function, largely. I mean, this is a very technical role, very difficult to explain in 10-15 minutes, but in a nutshell, what I could explain. Now, if you get into treasury, I don't think you will move out of treasury, because a treasury dealer, it's such a fancy role with, I don't know how many of you have seen Wolf of Wall Street or that kind of movie, where Wall Street dealers and all those things are very fancy role, right? So you would definitely not want to become any other thing if you become a dealer. But market risk is also a very good role. And back office, it's a core operations role. It's nothing fancy there. You just basically execute what the deals has happened. I have generally not seen people moving away from treasury, but even if you are into treasury, probably you can get opportunities will always be there. Like I mentioned in my first part itself, IJPs are there. You can also, of course, apply for a lot of opportunities that are available in the bank. But you will typically look for if you're in the operations, you will try to move into the operations of another company, another bank, or maybe another department, or may want to have I don't see in treasury. I don't think that you would want to go away from the treasury. Maybe you want to move from market risk to credit risk, but certainly because credit risk and credit risk and credit manager and the treasury roles are more centralized roles. You will typically sit at the head office. So you will not want to go and work in a branch. So all those aspirations will not be there. You will not have those aspirations. But of course, you can move from one bank to other. There are a lot of people who does that as well.
Got it. In fact, sir, very detailed guidance on this, right? I think even I was not aware of kitna detail mein hai treasury, right? I am learning it out, right? Really happy to hear this out. Sir, now a lot of questions student ask ki ye sab to theek hai, now I got an interest in banking and other things out, but student ask me interview mein kya puchenge? Can you give some material, or can you let us know any important things which we should read before we are going for interview for banking domain?
Yeah, certainly. So last time also I had shared some links, maybe
Yes.
Shivam, I don't know whether you have those or not, but anyways, before bringing it on the screen, let me give a brief idea of what you should prepare for. So if you're going for a credit manager role, please prepare for the ratios and the numbers and everything. You should be very, very clear how a ratio analysis is done, what a quick ratio, current ratio is, what kind of analysis you will do, and all those things. So predominantly focus on a financial analysis, a balance sheet analysis standpoint. So a question can be that that you have two proposals. In one case, a quick ratio is this much, and in another case, a current ratio is this much. Which is a better customer? So you need to basically, you have that analytical blend, and you should be able to understand, decipher the numbers, and probably answer that question. Yeah, so I think that this customer's financials looks better, but these are the following things that I will look into. So if you're going for a credit manager role, be very, very sure about your numbers, your figures, your financial analysis part. You should be very strong. If you are not strong with numbers, and again, I'm not demeaning CA as a profession, but sometimes we just mug up accounts. We go and give that accounting exam, accounts exam, yeah, ratio analysis, we just memorize and we go and do that. If that is the case, and if you're not confident of the numbers and all those things, probably credit manager is not a role you should be going for. You have to be very solid on your numbers, on the analysis part, because they can give you case studies also, okay? They can tell you that, okay, this is the balance sheet, whether you will approve a file or not. They can do that. Generally, in freshers, they don't do that. But you never know if there is some guy who really wants to test the freshers, they can do that. But there will certainly be questions around balance sheet analysis and income, expense, P&L, profit and loss analysis, not net profit ratio, gross profit ratio, cost of goods sold, this manufacturing, that manufacturing, all those things will be the questions around. You should also be aware about the provisioning norms, okay, of RBI. If these are the things I had not shared with Shivam earlier, maybe I'll share that again so that you can circulate. So if you go to RBI website, they have a circular section. Go to the circular section, they will have, so if I can share the screen, I can show it briefly if that is of any use.
Sir. Yes, sir, you can share the screen, sir.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir. That's visible.
Okay, so basically, if you go to RBI website, I'm sure you know how to find the RBI website. You go to RBI website, you can have once you get a notification, and then you have master circulars. So you go to notifications, you go to master circulars. These are all the master circulars that are there. Okay, so the master circulars pertains to various departments, various things. If you are going as a credit manager, this is the master circular you must go with what we call it as IRAC norms, prudential norms on income recognition, asset classification, and provisioning pertaining to advances. I've highlighted it. Okay, or maybe let me open this. Is it still visible, Shivam?
Yes.
Is the circular visible or the website?
Yes, circular is visible. Circular is visible.
Okay, so this is a web. This is the circular you must go through before you go for a credit manager interview. This will take care of your 90% of your questions if you have gone through this circular properly. It's a very, very large circular, actually. Let me see. 77 pages it's showing, but if you leave the last bit of it, maybe around 60-65 pages is what you probably need to read. But in that, these are the provisioning norms that you need to be very clear about, okay? Standard, substandard, doubtful. I'm sure these would have been a part of your CA curriculum, but again, you need to be very clear about this, what RBI is talking about, right? So this is one circular that you must go through as a credit manager. So I would recommend two things on the technical side. I'm not talking about your soft skills, right? So let me just, I hope everybody has got where to get this from, right? Anyways, I'll share this with Shivam if that's too much of a challenge. So this is not apart from your soft skill. So tell me about something about yourself, all those things are done. After that, when they do a technical assessment as a credit manager, they will definitely ask for numbers, figures. If you can really, at those moments, if you can really speak about these IRAC norms and the prudential norms, the circular that I showed you just now, 99% chance you will get the job. Please don't come back to me and say that I said all those things, still I didn't get it. It will not, most largely not happen. But if you can really speak about these, this would be really, really great. So two things, very important as a credit manager. You should be comfortable with your ratio analysis, financial analysis, all those, your management accounting paper. I don't know what it is called right now, but that management accounting paper, or what we used to have of management accountancy and financial analysis, that thing you have to be very conversant about. People will ask you questions around the various ratios and all that. And the second part is the IRAC norms. IRAC norms, you should be aware. You should be, as in, they won't expect you to be aware, but if you can tell them, it will really give you an edge against the others. If somebody who is not seen or who is not aware about this, if you can say that, it will work. As a relationship manager, again, IDAC norms is important. You need to be aware about the IDAC norms. You need to be aware about the ratio analysis, whether you will be lending to the customers or not. And top of that, you should be also aware about the various things. So that part I'll come later. But it's more that how interested are you in dealing with customers? Okay, how interested are you in basically handling customer grievance, customer problems, and all those things is on the relationship side. And on top of that, I will just share my screen once again. Just give me a minute. Sorry, just 1 second. Okay, so I'm just sharing my screen, going back to RBI website again. So I hope many of you would have got it. So you go to notification, master circulars. Every year, RBI refreshes the master circulars. So please go through that. There is a one master circular which I am not seeing on this page, must be in any other department. I don't want to waste time on doing that. So I'll just Google it up with KYC AML RBI circular. So see, it's also a master circular, but this is on KYC AML. So please go through this circular as well. This is also a very detailed circular. Please go through it. I'm sure you guys have some time before you appear for the interview. At least this much effort you can put. That go through these two circulars, you must go through. There are other circulars as well, but KYC AML and IRAC norms, prudential norms on the income provisioning, etc. These are the two circulars you should go through. And when you are preparing for an interview, last time I also shared, so suppose you are being interviewed by ICICI Bank. So I would request you to, before going for the interview, please do some research on ICICI Bank, right? So I had shown one technique. So once you Google ICICI Bank, you do get something like this, right? Once, of course, you get the ICICI Bank website, but apart from that, you get the Wikipedia page also. So go through this. This will give you a fair bit of idea about that particular bank in terms of where it's trading, how much is the price, how many locations, who are the key people, what kind of product, what is the revenue, income, what are the total assets. So total assets is $220 billion is the asset. Net income is $3.2 billion. So these are the numbers. If you can mention during the interview process, it would really help. Obviously, Wikipedia page is a quick glance. So when you are going in a cab for your interview, just go through the Wikipedia page. That will give you a fair bit of idea. The second thing I always suggest is go to ICICI Bank website. No, this is only an example I'm giving for ICICI Bank. You can, if you are HDFC Bank, don't go through ICICI Bank. Huh? Go through HDFC Bank. I'm sure you guys are smart enough to do that actually. So if you're going to ICICI Bank, there will be a section called Investor Relations. I hope it is visible to all. Investor Relations.
Yes, yes.
Go to Investor Relations. You will get all the financials here. The investor presentation is here. All the quarterly financial. It's all data is here. So all the information possible that can be asked is here only. Okay. So I'm just opening an investor presentation. There's a Q3 performance. These are the top numbers that you can carry in your mind. How much has been the growth, operating profit, deposits, advances, what is the asset quality, net NPA, gross NPA is a very favorite question of interviewers. What is the difference between gross NPA and NPA? How is an NPA calculated? So if you, while you're explaining, I mean, it's an ICICI case and you're explaining, and they suppose ask you what is a net NPA, and you can always explain net NPA. Gross NPA less provisions is my net NPA, and I understand that your NPA has declined by 0.55% from 0.61%. They will be super impressed if you can say that. So these nitpicking numbers would really help you. And all banks have this. You have to go to investor relations, click investor relations. You will get everything there, all the information there. So these are the three things you must do. One, of course, on the technical side, I explained you need to be aware about numbers and all those things, your ratios, your financial analysis part. If you are going for relationship manager, of course, you need to be you need to have good communication skills and all the soft skills required. But apart from that, as a fresher, the minimum things that would be expected of you is the two circulars that I mentioned. As the IRAC norms, that's the prudential norms on the provisioning, the KYC AML circular, and please go through the investor relations section. And when you're going for the interview, or maybe a night before, just go through the Wikipedia page. It will give you a fair bit of idea and some top numbers to keep in mind. And you should keep some top numbers in your mind. You should know at least how much is bank's profit. 233 crores billion is the profit of FY22. All these numbers, if you can mention, it would be great. And these are the segments that I was talking about: retail, wholesale, treasuries. Treasury contributes 98%, more than wholesale actually. Can you see? But that's the reason I was saying treasury dealers make so much money actually. So they make more money, more profit than the wholesale banking. All year on year they have done it. So treasury, they have just made money by doing these trades. Of course, retail is a large segment that depends on bank to bank, because ICICI is more a retail focused bank. So that's the reason their retail size is much more. But this would all make sense. So you should be aware about CASA. When you go through these documents, you will automatically know what is CASA. CASA is nothing but current account, savings account. That is called a CASA. CASA is the lowest interest borrowing by the bank, because when I keep my money in a savings account or a current account, it's free. I don't earn interest. As a customer, I don't earn interest. So for bank, this particular borrowing is free of cost. For savings account, it is minimal, 3.5%. So these are the things that you need to be aware about. Term deposit. What is a term deposit? Term deposit is nothing but a fixed deposit, because I'm keeping a deposit for a certain term. It is not a quick deposit like your CASA. That is the reason the segregation is there. So if you do an analysis, ICICI Bank's term deposit is 5368 billion and CASA is 4806 billion. That means their book is almost 50-50. So they're low cost deposits. So their cost of funding will be very low. I'm sorry, I'm getting into more technical aspect, but this fair bit of idea you will get that when an ICICI bank is able to, why they are able to generate, because their CASA is also so high. Because typically a bank person, an individual or a company would always want to keep more term deposits. So see, if you see the average CASA ratio is 44.9%, means of their total book, almost 45% is CASA. That's a very healthy book, actually. So anyways, so to cut the long story short, these are the things that you need to prepare for when you need to go for an interview. And I'm sure 110% the question will be around this only. It cannot come beyond that. Because the person who will be asking you these questions, he doesn't know anything beyond this. That is the reason he will not be, you will not be able to answer anything. You will not get any question beyond this. He will not ask you what is the Japan economy doing, because he doesn't know what the Japan economy is doing.
Got it. These are great. In fact, huge knowledge which you have shared, right? I think I'll just also tell the audience ki file kahan milega, right? We have uploaded all the files in our portal. right? You can go to cmonk.com the time you visit our portal. You can go to the placement tab, placement drive. Once you click here, यहाँ पे आपको संभव करके दिखेगा, click continue. Once you click on continue, here you'll be able to find out the list of questions and the links which we have posted, right? I'll again repeat it out. ठीक है, एक बार मैं फिर से repeat कर देता हूँ. You can go to cmonk.com, placement drive. Once you go here, संभव में आप click करेंगे, you get this questions, the list of questions and the links which you have uploaded, right? So that is something which we have done. इसके साथ साथ just also an update, those who are preparing for interviews, right? Our batch is starting from 6th, which is on Monday. So if you're looking for interview preparation, you can also click on this link. You'll get an update for the same, right? So now we'll open the forum for audience, sir. 5 minutes if you have, sir, if you don't mind.
No, please. I would be more than willing. Why 5 minutes? Even 10, 15 minutes is also fine.
Got it. So first we'll cover the doubts from the YouTube live, then we'll also move to the Zoom chat parallelly, right? So those who have doubts in a YouTube live, request you to please put the doubts in a chat box. Fatafat. We'll try to cover those doubts. And once that is done, we'll also cover the doubts over Zoom parallelly. Okay, right. The first doubt which is asked that I have applied banking off campus and asked for the interview situation. Will it affect my campus? I think don't worry about it. Any roles other than RM and CM we have already covered. Sir, suppose we join करने के बाद non banking sector companies में switch कर सकते हैं क्या? मतलब if I start from banking, can we switch to non banking sector? That is one, and can we switch to investment banking? That is two.
Yeah. Non-banking means you see it always. It's difficult to move out of the non-banking financial services space, right? So by that I mean within the banking and financial services space, whether it's a bank, whether it's an NBFC, whether it's a insurance, mutual fund, predominantly, largely they operate in the same sphere. If you are joining a bank, you can always switch within these industries or these companies as well. But if you want to tomorrow go and join, let's say a Unilever or maybe a manufacturing company, you might find a little difficult. But again, it's not impossible. Yeah, but that again depends. That kind of opportunity needs to be there because you can't go into start selling an FMCG product, right? As a banker, you can't sell FMCG product. You can't sell toothpaste from tomorrow. Now, I'm not demeaning anyway. It's not that we don't have, because as a banker, we don't have that skill. If you tell me that, because after working in the banking and financial services space, if you tell me from tomorrow that you go and work for, let's say an oil and gas company, I can't because I don't know how that industry works. So, but if there is a role within a oil and gas of a treasury function, of course, you can go and join in the treasury function. I don't think that would be a challenge there, but it has to interest you because once you get into banking, I don't think you will move out of it. That's my belief.
Got it. Sir, someone is also asking that what is the scope of internal audit in a bank in a short?
Yeah. Phenomenal experience. As in that is where my career is. Of course, as freshers, I don't know how much campus recruitment happens nowadays from internal audit. At least I haven't seen as head of audit also, when I was heading a department, we didn't do too much of campus recruitment. It was basically the credit and all these people used to do. But if that kind of role comes in, internal audit is a good role to work, definitely a good role. But there would be a lot of traveling. Please be aware about it. Considering the size and scale of banks, the branches are very much high. There are a lot of widespread branches around everywhere. So, and 99% chance you will be into the branch banking audits first. That is where the inception happens. And post that, you can move into credit audit. So in internal audit also, let me take 2 minutes to just explain you. In internal audit also, there are various verticals. One is what we call it as the general banking audit vertical. So in the general banking audit vertical, you have operations audit, branch banking audit, your clearing. So other operational audits are there. Then there is a technology audit vertical. They do core technology audits. So VAPTs and all those kind of audits happen. Then there is a treasury audit vertical. So they do only treasury audits. the three front office, middle office, and back office that I explained, the audit department does audit of those three departments only, because that's so large. Because I showed you the financials, it's fairly high. And the last part is the credit audit. Credit audit is again the whatever I explained to you of the credit manager role. They audit that thing, that aspect. And nowadays in banks, a new department has also come up, which they call it as a process improvement department or a excellence department, something like that. Their job is more into automation and AI and all those things within audit. My experience has been predominantly largely your requirement. If you are getting hired as a fresher, you will be put into branch banking audit. That is from where you will learn and then move on. But yes, freshers do get hired in internal audit as well. In fact, there is a lot of requirement in the market for internal audit for freshers.
Got it. Now we'll open the forum for everyone. Please request you to please put your doubts in the chat box. We'll be really happy to cover one by one. Sir, someone is asking that any guidance on HDFC mutual fund interview. So mutual fund interviews, any guidance, sir? Just a tip.
AMC is again, it will be largely into your understanding of the market.
Okay.
How much market you understand. See, what is the job of a mutual fund? Mutual fund is basically they collect money from individual customers and then they go and buy either equity. That depends on the kind of fund they are creating. If it's more a balanced fund, it will be debt and equity. So you need to understand those aspects of the market. So do some study on the market. So what all kind of markets are there? Bond market, money market, then your equity market, or your what we call it as the shares, debentures, all those class of securities. What are the interest rates around? How much is the market doing? You need to have a fair bit of an idea about the market.
Got it. So someone is asking how much time it takes to become a branch manager, and what is the salary?
Oh, that's a very subjective question, actually. Yes. How much time does it required to become a branch manager? It purely depends on you, how much effort you are willing to put. But now you guys are feeling that at least I should become a branch manager, right? If you get into a bank, because that is where our experience has been that when I go to a bank, I see the branch manager is the king of that particular place. But branch manager is not that great a role. Obviously, as in if you're in branch banking as a chartered accountant, you can expect that within. I don't want to give a time frame because it depends purely on your experience. But you can become a branch manager fairly soon, because if it's a growing bank, there are branches opening up. Certainly, if you're a performing person, you will be put in charge of a branch. But once you become a branch manager, you certainly don't want to remain anymore. You would want to become something else, because that's not a very senior role, actually. Because as CAs, you will grow much, much more than that. Trust me, you will.
Got it. Someone is asking, what is the role of DM2 wholesale banking ICICI?
DM2 will be a deputy manager, band 2. Don't go by the designation DM2. What is the DM2? What has it written?
Wholesale banking.
No, but what is it? Wholesale banking is a segment.
Role not written. I think. Please, if you could mention the role out. I think he is also not mentioned. Your question is incomplete. Right. What is the role of finance manager? Just a small brief.
Finance manager is role as everybody understands is the same role, but it's part of the finance team. You do accounting. You do predominantly. You do all the number churning and all those things and prepare the financials.
Got it. So he's mentioning financial analyst role in wholesale banking.
Financial analyst. The financial analyst will be more like a credit manager only. So on the wholesale banking side, like I said, there's a mid segment, mid, large, corporate. So corporate segment is the segment which is called all these three segments put together is called the wholesale banking. So banking is predominantly divided in two parts. One is retail, where all we people fall under, individual customers. Once it becomes a corporate or a small and medium-sized enterprise, it becomes a wholesale banking. In wholesale banking also, there are different divisions. There is a MSME, there is a mid segment, large segment, corporate segment, all those there. So if you're a financial analyst there, it is largely a credit manager role. Basically, a file will be, or a credit proposal will be evaluated and prepared by a financial analyst.
Got it. Okay. Sir, any scope of exit opportunities into investment banking after starting a career from the banking domain?
Investment banking is again a very peculiar type of a role. Investment banking, while it sounds fancy, at least at my times, it was a very fancy role. And people used to be very bullish about the role. But when all these 2008 and all those recessions, slowdown happened, those were the people who were thrown out first, because there were not too many deals happening. So as an investment banker, what is your role? You have to do mergers, acquisitions, and you have to kind of handle those kind of deals and all that, right? So if it's a recession, there are not too many FPOs, IPOs, mergers, acquisitions happening. So obviously the role will not be that much. But investment banking is again largely it's a relationship role where you need to go talk to customers and you need to have those skills. Exit opportunities, again, like I mentioned, it will always be there in banks. If you're not doing that great in investment banking, if you're not finding that interested, you can of course move. But as freshers, I don't think investment banking would be a great opportunity available at the very beginning. It might come at a later part of your career.
Okay. Got it. So someone is asking, should we do a biasness or should we select a public bank or a private bank or private bank or a public bank?
First, no. Absolutely, there is no bias. All banks are good. See, our regulator, RBI, is one of the most respected regulator, and they are doing a fairly decent amount of jobs in supervising the banks. So while our parents, at least my parents, I don't know now parents of this generation, but at least my parents always had the idea that public banks are much better than private banks. But that's not the case actually. I would say, in fact, a couple of days back, I went to SBI. I found SBI to be as competitive, as efficient nowadays as compared to any private bank. They are also changing. They are changing very fast. So they are hiring young people. Young guys are also joining SBI. But of course, if you get an opportunity in working in a public bank, you can always try. But the growth opportunities, I don't think will be that much. It won't be that much as compared to a private bank. Because SBI not SBI, all private banks make sure that you work in all the departments for three years. That is how they make you aware about the banking. It's not like a private bank that they will throw you in the ocean and ask and tell you to learn swimming. They will teach you swimming day by day in each department for a long period of time till the time you become a all-round banker. It's the best place to learn, certainly, but I have my doubts about the growth.
Got it.
I could be wrong, I could be wrong, but I want to give a caveat here. I could be wrong, but that is my experience, my perception.
Got it. So one last question, which is there, right? Others, don't worry, right? We'll collate the questions out and you can put the questions or a YouTube comment section. We'll try to collate and answer all the questions. But last question, which is troubling a lot of students out is, sir, what is a work-life balance in the banking domain?
There is no work-life balance. There is only work-work balance, actually. You have to balance between two works. No, that to be serious at the initial part of your career, I don't think you should be too much bothered about work-life balance. Let's be very clear about it. If you're looking at a career, that you will have a 9 to 5 or a 10 to 5 or a 10 to 6 kind of a job, then I think it's better not to get into banking, because banking, at least in private sector banks, it will not be the case. Trust me, it will not be. There will be a lot of expectation. There will be a lot of aspirations from your side as well, because you would also want to grow, right? And if you want to grow, and if you are not available when your team is working, you will not grow. As simple as that. And people are really, at least I have seen, unfortunately, I don't have experience in the other industry, at least in banks, whatever I have seen, people are really, really passionate about what they are doing. They really slog, okay? But now banks are also becoming very concerned about attrition, people leaving, and all those things. But those are all good to know when you're joining. But if you put an extra effort, you will, of course, grow very fast. But why should you bother about work-life balance at the very initial part of your career? Give some good 4-5 years, learn banking. Banking is a huge space. As in, I will not, I haven't met any person. I have met person who have retired from banks after working for good 30, 40 years, and still they say that I know only maybe 4-5%. There are so much complexities, so much nitty-gritties, so much regulation change happening. So I think that is the piece we should be more focusing on, not work-life balance. Maybe when you want to retire, that is the time you should be focusing on work-life balance, not now.
Got it. Sir, are there any frequent transfers like we see in movies? कि तुमको एक जगह से दूसरे जगह भेज दिया and all this stuff happen, or it's given a choice that you're going to be changing from one branch to another?
No, I don't think there are not too many transfers. Doesn't happen. In PSU banks, it does happen that they have some rotational transfers. I really don't know the periodicity, but you will of course find a branch manager always getting rotated to within certain period. But you always have the opportunity to kind of refuse those transfers. In PSU, it is said that if you refuse transfers, then you don't grow. You will not get promotions, actually. Basically, it's a kind of a trade-off that you want to do. But in private sector banks, I don't think you will be transferred that much. Means if you're in the branch banking, you can be moved from one branch to another within a city only. But so if you're in Madhya Pradesh, you will not be sent to Kerala. If you are doing that, you can always tell HR that, no, I can't do it. Sorry, I have my family and everything.
Got it. So I think great learning, sir, in fact, about the banking domain, right? And it was a great insightful session for all of us, right? And especially for the students who are preparing for interviews, right? And if still any of the doubts which remains there, I'll request the students to put the doubts on a YouTube comment section. We'll try to answer those doubts, and definitely we'll be happy to have one more session with sir exclusively for doubts and other things out. Once the shortlisting of campus will be out for only for if you have got a banking companies, right? So without wasting much of our time, I'll request all of you guys to please turn on the videos. Please turn on the videos, and time to thank the sir for valuable time on Saturday night. Yes, connected with us till 10:30. यार एक बार इतना तो रिस्पेक्ट बनता है. फटाफट वीडियोस ऑन करें जो जूम पे कनेक्टेड है और जो यूट्यूब लाइव पे कनेक्टेड है. आप वर्चुअल क्लैप शेयर कीजिए जरूर, राइट? वर्चुअल क्लैप शेयर कीजिए और कमेंट सेक्शन पे आप बताइएगा कैसा लगा आपको सेशन. एंड इनफैक्ट आई आल्सो एंजॉयड lot of things which sir has said. I request all of you to please unmute yourself and give a round of applause for sir for this wonderful session. जोरदार तालियों से थैंक यू बोलेंगे.
Thank you so much.
That was very helpful. Thank you for the time given.
Thank you, sir,
Sir, thank
for
you.
time.
Thank you so much for your valuable suggestions.
Thank you, sir.
Great.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. So great. Others, those who are watching this session out, I'll request all of you to please share this session out with your friends and other people out, because they will be also aware about this domain. And before taking a wrong decision, they should be aware ki what is the growth, what is something which they are going to be doing once they're going to be a part of a banking domain. Generally, we हमको पता नहीं होता कि banking में क्या होता है. Right? We being a chartered accountants generally consider finance as our job or stat audit as our job. But I think sir has given a hell lot of clarity on this, right? And really thank you, sir, once again for joining us for this session out. And if still any of the doubts which are remaining, people can put those doubts on the comment section on YouTube. Thank you, sir, once again.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure. Happy to help. And any questions, please get in touch. I would be more than happy to do another session, Shivam. So we can plan it out. No problem.
Done, sir. Done.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thanks once again. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you.